Hello, episode 65. And if you come in peace, welcome. I'm going to run through quite a lot of stuff today. So I'm not going to give you the whole Knitting with Ukraine Makealong spiel. I think you've probably been here before and so you know. If you don't know, you've got 2 weeks from today to get entered. Sorry, dry mouth already. I put on warmer clothes because it felt chilly and now I'm melting. 2 weeks from today, which is the 17th of August, to enter. It finishes midnight BST on the 31st of August, which is literally 2 weeks today, but I don't know when you're watching this, so it might not be. If you want all the details, pop back to a previous episode with the hashtag Ukraine underneath it. Right, where to start? I have a large pile. Shall we start with finished objects? I only have one. Oh, that's on the floor then. I finished my green version of the Sabrina's Nightmare sweater. It's called Sabrina's sweater. The version, there's three versions within the pattern. This one is Sabrina's Nightmare, which is the DK. And I've made this one cropped and put a random piece of thread on it, apparently. So this is the cropped version. There are two main charts in the pattern. For the cropped version, I've used the shorter chart. And so for comparison, I should just mention actually, somebody commented on my last video that they didn't like the skull sweaters. So I'm hoping they're not watching this one, because now there's two. So you can see the difference in the charts. You can't see me, but you can see the difference in the charts. This one is full length. You've seen it before. This one is cropped. And there's your difference really. On this one, the main skull pattern is below the division for the sleeves. On this one, it's above on the yoke. So that's those. This one was knit all in Stylecraft yarns, black, white, silver and spice. This one was knit in black, white and silver Stylecraft yarns. And the green, Hayfield? I can't actually remember, and I've put the oddball away. I used only just over 100 grams of the green anyway. I think I changed into the second ball in my rib on the body, and I'd already done the sleeves. So could probably have squeezed it out of one ball. That's those. I'm going to hang those where we can admire them while I talk. How can I hang this one? Let's see. There we are. Oh, you can only see the green one. Never mind. It's pretty. Right. On to works in progress. I've made a pile. I'm just going to start at the top of the pile. My youngest son, Ewan, is involved with a living history group. They're a reenactment group. Sorry about all the drinking. And they reenact from the British Army in the 40s. So not necessarily the war. At some places they go to, they will, you know, have a mock battle. but other places they just set up their tents and lay out their kits for everybody to come and see and ask questions and experience what life was like for a serviceman in the 1940s. So he has spent a fortune of his hard-earned money on uniform, reproduction and original and kit and what have you. But he asked me, could I knit him some gloves? And of course I can. I haven't done gloves for a very, very long time, but I can. And I had a look through my patterns and I found this. I can't link it below. I did some research and it is from 1955. So it's not really original. I mean, a glove's a glove. But he's put so much effort into getting his uniform and his kit as original as possible that I feel the need to do the same. So I had a little hunt on Ravelry. And that's what's fallen on the floor, so bear with me. Please excuse the top of my head yet again. On Ravelry, I found this pattern. It's free. And it is from an original pattern published by the American Red Cross in 1942. Modified World War II army gloves. So basically the lady who's modified it has just made it more easier for modern knitters to understand, because obviously our patterns, the way our patterns have written, have changed slightly. Now the problem I had was that for the pattern I'd originally chosen, I'd got some 4-ply yarn. And I did try knitting it up, and it's very a very loose gauge, and they're not going to be terribly warm like that. So this pattern is knitted in worsted yarn, but still on a 2.5 and a 3mm needle to give it a nice tight gauge so that they're warm. So I had bought this yarn to make the gloves with, which is Cascade Heritage 4-ply in Camel, which is 5610. But obviously this is quite a fine 4-ply, and I've already tried knitting it up on those size needles and it was giving me a very loose fabric. So I looked in my stash and I fished out this to hold with it, which I know is only really going to give me like a DK weight, but I think I can fudge it, because worsted really isn't a lot thicker than DK. And this is, where are we? Warcraft Superwash sock. Does it have a name? No. 4432. So I thought if I hold the two of those together, the colour is kind of lost in the mists of time, but he borrowed a sweater from somebody that was pretty much those two colours mixed together, nearer to this one I would have said. So I think that's going to do the job. We'll possibly have one of those finished to show you next week. I'm quite excited about it, even though knitting gloves is not really one of my favourite things to do, which is why I've not done it for many, many years, because it's fiddly with the fingers and what have you. But these are knit in the round, and the fingers are knit in the round, so there's no sewing up seams on fingers. So I'm quite excited to knit them, and to knit them to fit him. So to get his finger measurements on each hand and knit them so that they fit perfectly. That's quite exciting. Quite an exciting project. So that's it was nearly a work in progress. It would have been, but I found a new pattern, a better, more suitable pattern and so I've got to adapt what I was doing. So let's grab the next bag on the pile, which is this one, which has something else for Ewan in. Ewan asked for a sweater, and so I cast this on at the last cast on party, which is 25th of June, and it's this one. And I'm just knitting it in Stylecraft Special DK again, one of my favourite yarns, in claret. And I finally finished the back. Because Ewan is so tall, I had to keep adding length. And every time I thought I'd reached it, I had to keep going. So it took quite a lot longer than it would have done for someone who's not 6'4" / 5. So this is it. It's coming up a lot brighter red on screen than it is in real life. It is a clarity colour. It's quite a blue red. And as you can see, it's really rather long. And that is from just below his armpit. I should have had shorter children. Note to self, next time round, when I come back in my next incarnation, choose a shorter husband. Assuming I knit, I think I will. I suspect I've always knitted in each incarnation, so I don't imagine I won't in the next, although there may not be any. I'm off on one of my wanders, take no notice. So, that's another Ewan project. What else have we got here? In this bag, which I made myself, I've got a pair of socks. I've kind of started Christmas gift knitting, but I actually started these socks in May. I lost my sock mojo for ages. It just disappeared. I don't know where it went. I did think that Alex from my Yarny Corner had got it, but it's back and she's still got it. So it can't have been mine she's pinched. I'm looking for a sock blocker. Bear with me. I'm not very organised today. I thought I'm going to just go with the flow today, and consequently I'm unorganised. Right, this, similar colour to before, I'm knitting in, shall I show you the sock first? See, very unorganised, disorganised I should say. Heels, toes and cuffs, West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in cinnamon stick, which could have done for Ewan's gloves now I look at it, but hey, we've got that sorted. Let's not muddy the waters. Poppy's snoring, sorry. The main yarn is King Cole Zigzag 3475, and I've got a feeling it had a name like Big Top, something to do with the circus, I feel. I've finished the one sock. I'll tell you the pattern in a minute. And I have turned the heel on the second sock, and on this sock I'm using a puppy cat. I put a marker on even when I'm doing magic loop. Oh look, I was knitting this in the garden and it's got a little seed. Oh, you can't see the seed. A little seed on it. Yeah, I put on a marker just so that I know where my round starts and finishes, and then when I get to the heel, so obviously your sole is knitting stocking stitch. Sometimes the rest of your sock is though, but anyway, I leave it on just as decoration, but you know which is the sole and which is the instep because you've got a heel on it now. Although if you're my friend Sue, you may have 2 heels on it. Long story, you'd have to ask Sue. Right, the pattern. And I've not printed out the whole thing. The pattern is the All Is Calm socks by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. And I'm trying to show you, because it's a paid for pattern, without, oh actually I think I'll do it that way, without giving you any of the pattern. It's fun to knit. It's not difficult to memorise. It's a 6-row repeat. Oh gosh, I'm not doing this again. I'm organising myself again next week because this is too much. There are holes, so it's, oh, you can see through there. It's a bit lacy. It's a nice sock and I really like the colours. So I think with the leftovers I might have to make a sock for myself. Or 2. 2 would be more useful really, wouldn't it? So that, All Is Calm socks, Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears. I'm not sure. I think quite possibly they were a Patreon only pattern. But I'm not a Patreon anymore, so I can't check. So that's those. What is next? More socks. Told you my sock mojo's back. I made this bag as well. I kind of have a finished sock. These are just my own vanilla pattern. So I've got one finished bar the heel. And I've yet to decide whether I'm going to do a contrast heel. It's going to be an afterthought heel, clearly, because I've finished the rest of the sock. But I don't know whether I'm going to put on a contrast heel, a heel that picks up one of the colours in the stripes, or whether I'm just going to use the stripes and have like a bullseye heel. But usually when I knit socks with an afterthought heel, I wait till I finish them both and then do the heel together. I started the second one. This one, she's not being very helpful. This one has got a lily cat on. You're probably wondering why that's a lily cat. It's because Lily has got a big round face and she's a tabby. And that's got, well, I don't know, there might be whiskers. I've always looked at it and thought that that was a tabby cat anyway. And these are being knit in West Yorkshire Spinners yet again, Blue Lagoon, which is beautiful. If there's enough, I'm going to make some fingerless gloves so that I can, I mean, it's great having them socks on your feet, but I want some fingerless gloves so that I can just look at them. It's one of those colourways that as I'm knitting it, I just keep stopping and looking and admiring how pretty it is. It slows the knitting down a bit. And I think I've managed to get them to match absolutely perfectly using my special patented measuring device. Yeah, so far they do. So long as my tension remains the same, they're going to match perfectly. The only thing I had to do was, because I did the toe in the same yarn, when it got to Kitchener-ing it together, it would have gone back to this sort of minty colour. And I didn't want that. But I had got, where is it? The little bit that I took off so that I could get a full colour run to start the first sock. So that when I came to start the second sock, I could do the same and make sure they matched. So I ration joined that on to the last of the blue and Kitchenered the toe. It's not terribly neat because it's, you know, the Russian joined bit is in there. So obviously that bit is thicker. But I think with blocking and with wear, they're only for me anyway, but it's not going to be terribly noticeable. I don't know if you can. Sun's coming out now. I don't know if you can. This hand's meant to be covering up my face, and instead of doing that, I'm peering over the top of it so I can see what I'm doing. There. I think they're okay. They're also now on the floor. And he has dropsy today. Next, I'm afraid, is another pair of socks. It's all a bit socktastic today, but as I said, Sock Mojo's come back. I wish it had come back before the really hot weather, because socks are great to knit when it's hot, because there's not loads of fabric in your lap or all over you. But it didn't come back till it started to cool down, and I wonder if that's because I wanted to wear socks then, so I thought about making them. I don't know. The vagaries of my brain are beyond even me to work out. This one, let me tell you about the yarn first. This yarn I have tried, this is my third attempt at knitting a pair of socks with these. I think I first cast on My Cup of Tea socks, and it was, they've got a pattern on them, like a tulip pattern, and it was arranging itself so nicely. I thought, oh, this is too nice to have a pattern. I'm going to make a pair of vanilla socks so that I can see the stripes nicely. So I pulled it back down to the cuff, started a pair of vanilla socks, and of course without the pattern, the colours in the yarn rearranged themselves in an entirely different way, and it was flashing and pooling in a way that I didn't like. So again, I think these were cast on around about May, maybe June, and then they got put aside because I loved the yarn, I loved the colours in the yarn, but I was really disappointed with how it was knitting up. And I don't know what made me think of it. I might have seen it on a podcast, it might just have popped back out of my subconscious, but I suddenly remembered this pattern, which is Rhinebeck Roomies by, it's another Kay Lytton Crazy Sock Lady pattern. And because of the way the pattern works, can't say too much because obviously it's a paid pattern, it's breaking up that colour run and that pooling, and they're coming out really nice. I don't know if you can see the little, again, the light's making it look a lot yellower than it is in real life. It is purple and emerald and burgundy. Much, much nicer. Really happy with these. The only problem is, and I've got to remember this when I cast on the second one, I reused the cuff from the original pair, so it's got a 1x1 cuff on it, whereas this pattern requires a 2x2 cuff. Doesn't really matter. Again, they're for me. I've just got to remember when I cast on the second one to do a 1x1 cuff, not a 2x2. Oh, and that reminds me of something else. On this pair, I have, oh, I should show you the yarn first. Let me tell you the yarn first. Right, so the main body of the sock, I think, because this got separated from its yarn band, but I think this is the correct yarn band. It's Woolcraft Superwash sock wool again, in shade 46, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think. It's the only yarn that I'm knitting with that is sans band, and that's the only band that is without wool in the middle of it. So I'm calling them a pair. And the cuff, the heel, and possibly the toe are in Drops Fable Unicolor in 113, which again is a lot bluer than it looks on my screen. I don't know about yours. I think it's because the sun's come out and has turned the light quite yellow. Because it's blue sky up there now. I'm going to melt. I'm going to have to change after I've done this. Right, the thing I was going to tell you, I had a present. I had a present from a viewer who is the mother of a friend of mine, mother and mother-in-law, and turn around that way. She sent me some stitch markers. This is one of them. Let me get the others. See, had I been organised today, I would have shown you this at the beginning, but I am not, so I didn't. Where's it gone? Sorry, I had to pause because I had to get them off the desk, and really, the last couple of weeks, you've had my bosom shoved in your face far too often already. So, Linda made me these stitch markers, and they are fantastic. There's this one. I love my cat. Couldn't be more apt. A lovely leaf. A butterfly with a leaf. A butterfly. I'm just hoping you can see these because I can't actually see. Look at this one. And this one is going on Ewan's glove and any future gloves that I make. And I think you can see why. There's duplicates of them, all apart from the fairy. She was the only one of those. $11 altogether, and I don't think Linda sells them. They were just a gift for me, so thank you very much, Linda. I absolutely love them, and the only reason they're not on more projects is because I wanted to show everybody before I started scattering them about the place. But yeah, this one is most definitely going on Ewan's gloves and on every other glove that I make for the rest of eternity. Right, I've also dropped a tiny bit of card on the floor that I've got something important written on, so I'm just going to dive down and get that. You're used to me by now. I haven't even got Poppy to look at today because, I don't know, I've got the camera in a slightly different place, so she's lower down. Right, next bag on the pile. Made by my lovely friend Sarah. And in here, I haven't got the pattern here to show you because there's not actually a picture on the pattern, so that would be pointless. But I will link, I'll link everything below that I can. If there's not a link, then that's because there wasn't a link to be given. In this beautiful yarn from my Yarny Corner, not sure if it was dyed by Alex or Danny. It's called Licorice All Sorts. Oh, I nearly fell out with my friend Jane over this. We saw it in the sort of pre-update that it was coming, and we both wanted it, and it went live I think at 7 o'clock, and by 30 seconds past 7 o'clock it was in my basket and paid for. So Alex had to make another one specially for Jane. With this yarn, I've had it in my stash for a few months while I decide what I was going to do with it. I've got several of Alex's yarns and have deemed them, it's the same with Amanda's as well, have deemed them too nice for socks. Not because, how can I put this? Unless it's really hot, I wear my hand knit socks every day. So it's not that they're not going to get use. It's more that I'm not constantly looking at my feet. So if it's a yarn that I particularly love the colour of, I'd rather make something other than socks that I'm actually going to be able to see. So very often they end up in shawls or hats, and I, for quite a long while, was thinking this was going to be a Musselburgh hat. But then I thought of making these, and there is very, very little to see, I'm afraid. I've just got the cuff and about 2 rows. This is going to be a pair of My Cup of Tea Fingerless Mitts. Now, if you've been around for a while, you will remember that I made a pair of socks from the My Cup of Tea pattern. And I should have brought them down so I could show you the pattern. Never mind, too late. I sort of put it on my arm so that you could see the pattern, and I said these would make excellent fingerless gloves. And in the comments, somebody popped in and went, there's a pattern, a free pattern. So of course I shot off and got it, but there's no picture on the pattern. There's a picture on sort of the file on Ravelry, but when you download the pattern, there's no picture to print out, which is fine. I know exactly what they should look like, but unfortunately, unless you saw the socks, you don't. Should I get the socks? I probably should, shouldn't I? I'll go and get the socks. I'm back. So these were the socks. I want to say by Robin Lind, but I'm not sure that's right. So that's the pattern. And that's the pattern that will be on the front, back, however you classify it, of the Fingerless Mitts. So I think they call it a tulip or a crocus pattern. But yeah, so that's what they're going to look like. I didn't get very far with them yesterday because I was trying to get Ewan's gloves started, and 3 times I think I started them and then pulled them down, and then I went looking for another pattern. So yeah, there'll be more of those to show next week, but I just absolutely love this yarn. In the skein, about probably just under a half of it was a charcoal grey, and the rest was this peachy yellow, pinky speckled. Just gorgeous. As all of Alex's yarns are. So I'll try and have a bit more of that to show you next week. That is the right back, yes. Okay. Oh, I don't know if I told you, on here, oops, that little stitch marker, Sarah not only made the bag, she made the little stitch marker from scratch using a resin mould. Very adorable. Actually, while I'm talking about Alex, I should show you something else, and I'm going to have to pause again. Honestly, I am getting hotter and hotter with all this chasing around trying to find things. I bought this from Alex this week, and if you can read it, if the light's not shining on it, it says Anti-Swatch Club. I think I'm the president of the Anti-Swatch Club. She has, I believe, at least another one of these still in her Etsy shop. She's got some other key rings as well, and some other bits and pieces. But she's in the process of, come the 1st of September, so 2 weeks' time, she's moving over to selling from her own website. So I will link her Etsy shop below. This I'm not using as a key ring. It's hanging on the wall up there. Oh, I can't tip you up. It's too hard. There's too much stuff piled. Yeah, I've got a thing that my best friend gave me that's like a crystal heart with best friend behind it. So I've hung that as well. Let's turn around. Hung that as well above it. So it's just, I'm just using it as decoration because my walls are purple and my chair is green. So it goes perfectly. Yeah, I'll link her Etsy shop below. Don't know if I can link her website yet. I'll try. Yeah, let me make a note of that. Bear with me while I just write something. I'll probably knock everything over now. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm nearly done. Right, that's that done. Okay, only 2 more things to show you. We're almost done. Okay. Well done for sticking along this far. That goes in there. This is going to take me so long to tidy up. No more off the cuff, I'm telling you. From now on, we are going hyper organised again. Right, the shawl I was not going to make. The Stephen West, don't listen, Jane. Smorgasbord. She doesn't like the word. Makes her go funny. Smorgasbord shawl has had a little work on since you saw it last. Where was I when you saw it last? I was there. So I've done that much. So much happier that I pulled it down and put that pale yellow stripe in. So much happier with it now. I'm not following his guidelines for what colours to put in where because I'm not using 7 colours as the pattern dictates. I'm using 5. Is it 5? Yeah, 5. So I'm kind of going with the flow. This section, for example, should have been in 2 colours. I just did it in my multicolour. And that's kind of how I'm getting around it. And then when it comes to a section like this blue one, that is 1 colour, I'm just having a look and seeing which one I think will go in best next. So I'm at section, I've just started, literally done 1 row, section 13. So I suppose I'm about 1/3 of the way through. As far as sections go, I'm half the way through. But as I'm sure you know, as it grows, the sections get bigger, the stitch count gets considerably bigger. And so, yeah, I reckon I'm about 1/3 of the way through. I've also decided, if you're a Stephen West fan, you may know that he likes to do the mohair dare. And the mohair dare is, wherever you choose, stick in a mohair section, and I'm going to do it. And I've got my mohair all ready to go. I've chosen which section it's going to be. I don't actually know what this mohair is, because it has lost its ball band. I haven't got a clue. There's no ball band in the tote that it's stored in that isn't connected to something else, so I don't know. But it's kind of a creamy off-white mohair. I'm going to go for it. I don't think it's the next section. Might be the one after that. So by the time you see this next, it may have the mohair in it. I'm promising an awful lot, aren't I? I need to really knit hard. Like I don't usually. For the rest of the week. So yeah, we're just going to call it the Stephen West shawl. You know what it's called. I'm not going to repeat it and torture my friend. And again, everything will be linked below. Let me move that while I think of it. Oh, let's not pull that off onto the floor. I had a quick count up last night of what projects I'd completed. We're in the middle of August, so in the last 7.5 months, not including anything that's a work in progress, I have completed 12 sweaters, 2 of them are behind me, 6 shawls, 2 cowls, 2 hats and 5 pairs of socks. That's a fair bit really, isn't it? And I have a lot more planned. A lot more planned. There are 2, possibly 3 sweaters I'd like to get done. Oh, actually maybe 4. I might have to have a bit of a think about priorities. 3, possibly 4 sweaters I'd like to get done before Christmas. Loads more socks. Sock mojo is back with a vengeance. And some Christmas knitting. Not a huge amount, but a little bit. Yeah. It's achievable. And of course I want to join in with the Stephen West mystery knit along. So busy, busy, busy. While I think of it, my fringe, it's probably annoying most of you. It's annoying me. I was growing it out. I'm not entirely sure that I can carry off a no fringe look anymore. So I am going to cut it again. But I don't want to cut it until the hot weather is definitely over, because it's just long enough that I can clip it back now. See, I've got an awful lot of forehead. That's from my father's side. Let's cover it back up. Both the boys have got that forehead. Yeah, so that's why it's poking me in the eye, and it sits on my glasses. Can you see? Oh, that makes me so wild. And there's a bit now that I can see. So as soon as I'm sure that it's not going to be like the surface of the sun again, it's getting trimmed. Right, last thing to show you. Hooray! This is everybody. It is another sweater. It does not yet have skulls, but it will have. And if you don't like it, you'll have to lump it. I'm sorry. This is... Where is the pattern? Where is the pattern? Oh. Pattern's underneath everything. I'm going to have to pause you again. I'm sorry. You would not believe that on Sunday I had a huge tidy up in here. It does not look like it at the moment. At the moment, it looks like the Viking hordes have rampaged through here yet again. I wish they'd stay out my craft room. They keep making a mess. Okay, this is What's This? By Bad Wolf Girl, Megan Regan. It's a worsted pattern. I'm knitting it in DK, as I did these two, because I know it works out. It's in Style Craft Special DK. What a surprise. In black. That was a mistake. I mean, it looks good, but yeah. The bright green you can see for the little holly leaves there is apple. The red is lipstick, all special DK. The white is white, and the snowflakes, which I finished yesterday, are duck egg. They look grey in this light, but they are duck egg. Next is some holly leaves and then some more skulls. I'm not asking anyone else to wear it. Might have to fight a few people off stealing it, actually. But, yeah. So, that hasn't had a lot of work on it because it's just been too hot. The black yarn is hard to see. It absorbs the heat and radiates it back at me. And it's just been too hot to be knitting things in DK weight. I see my floats while you're there. Look. Everyone's obsessed by seeing people's floats. So there's some floats for you. You're welcome. That's all my knitting content. If you've stuck around through the chaos until now, well done. Give yourself a star. There are a couple of things I want to say before I go. Firstly, kind of been bullied into this, which is why I've left it till the end. I have a Ko-fi account. I don't mention it. I just quietly put it in the description box and hope that people notice it. But it has been brought up by my Zoom knitting friends that the cost of posting all the fantastic prizes that I've been donated for the Ukraine knit-along is going to be a bit ridiculous. I have had one very generous donation, but if anyone could stick £1 or £2 towards the postage costs, that would be absolutely fantastic and very, very much appreciated. I'm also now in a position to monetize the podcast. It's something I said I wasn't going to do, but I do want to keep doing giveaways, and I do want to keep running knit-alongs and offering prizes, which of course is expensive, and I have no income. So if I want to do it, I'm going to have to do something about it. So I am thinking about monetizing the podcast. If I do so, you will know, because I'm told that it comes up, this video will benefit, in this case, Mouse's Makes. I have YouTube Premium, so the other option is for me to cancel my YouTube Premium and use that money towards prizes and postage. But if I monetize the podcast, any monies raised will go to prizes and postage and nothing else. So should you see that little message come up, if you could just let the adverts play, that would be brilliant. And it will enable me to do what I wanted to do in the beginning, which was offer a giveaway every month. And I very quickly realised I couldn't afford to do that. So that's something that we can maybe do if I monetize. The other thing I wanted to tell you, which is kind of related, is that the Ukraine knit-along finishes on the 31st of August. On the 1st of September, I would like to start an autumn make-along. So autumn, fall, there'll be more details nearer the time, where you can enter anything you like, so long as it's got an autumn, fall, Halloween, October, November, whatever vibe to it. So the colour or the name of the pattern, if you can make it sound autumny or look autumny, you can enter it. But we'll go over the details, as I say, nearer the time. So that's maybe something to start thinking and planning for, if that's something you would like to join in with. Again, it will be knitting, crochet or cross stitch. I've started cross stitching again. I was going to show you today, but we're already at 50 minutes and I think I'll save that for next week. Right, that really is everything I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much for joining me, for looking at everything and being the lovely people that you are. And to my special friend Doris, who comments on every episode and is a truly lovely lady. You will notice, Doris, that almost everything has these on now because it was bothering you. So, to Doris, who finds skulls a bit icky, I apologise. It's been a very skull heavy episode for reasons. That's all I'm going to say. So, I will see you all next week. Until then, stay safe and happy knitting.